online, a short list of directors have emerged that Sony Pictures is looking at to direct the upcoming Spider-Man reboot in 2017. The trade cautions that there could be other candidates, but these names are currently on Sony's list. The directors in the running are Jonathan Levine, 50/50 and Warm Bodies, Ted Melfi, St. Vincent, Jason Moore, Pitch Perfect, John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein, Vacation, and Jared Hess, Napoleon, Dynamite, and Nacho, Libre. John Byers saw this list of potential directors for the new Spider-Man.
Now, granted, if you had come to me and said, hey, the Russo brothers, remember from that TV comedy show and whatever, are going to be doing a Captain America movie, I mean, what? But that turned out great. It has worked. But for now, I'm going to sell. I really don't see any of these directors right now as guys who can come in and take over a franchise like this. But that doesn't mean there isn't a diamond in there. They could be great. What stands out most to me about this list, though, is the glaring absence of Drew Goddard. Where's he? I mean, it was just a couple of months ago that we heard that he was actually in talks with Sony to actually take over the new Spider-Man. The dude was supposed to be doing the Sinister Six spinoff. He did that work on Daredevil and things like that. He's on the in, and all of a sudden now his name isn't even being mentioned. So, and because that was a name I believe all of us were kind of excited about with Drew doing it. So maybe I'm just feeling negative about all these other names because of the absence of Goddard. Maybe I need to get a little bit of distance and then reevaluate what I think about it. Levine is definitely an interesting name on that list. But I don't know. Does the fact that he's such great buddies with Joss Whedon, and now there's apparently this big falling out between Whedon and Marvel, but this is supposed to be a Sony picture? I mean, who knows? Right. Once again, there's probably a million facts that we have no idea of, but his absence from this list really is concerning to me. Anyway, Mark, you saw the list. What do you think about it?
I was just looking for Mark.
Oh, sorry, Christian.
Kidding.
I have called him Christian before, by the way, on the show.
But no, as far as the actual list goes, I buy the list because these are all talented dudes. But I'm with you. Where's Drew Goddard? Wait a minute. What? And I think that what that is, I just think it really proves more that Marvel has their hand in it going, that's not the tone. The thing that you guys were developing before, that tone was Sinister Six and that new thing you were talking about with Spider-Man, right. That's not the tone. From what I've read and heard is that they want to go in like John Hughes type direction with this Spider-Man, like the tone of how much younger he is. And that
but I heard that was originally Goddard's idea.
Was it?
Yeah.
See, but maybe because of his he can go dark or darker. Maybe they want it more fluffy. I mean, or not fluffy. That's not fair because if you look at Jonathan Levine and what he did, 50/50, I loved that movie. And to see if he can have that kind of dynamic with Peter Parker and in high school, to see him develop those characters, it could be that could work for what they want to do. But what I think it stands most from this list, I think it really shows Marvel's hand in this thing more than it's Sony's standalone.
I disagree with you completely. I think you're reading way too much into that. I think the Marvel deal with Sony had already been announced when they entered into talks with Drew Goddard. I mean, that had already happened. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not as if Sony was in talks with him and then the Marvel deal happened and all of a sudden Goddard is out.
I don't think it's Marvel saying that, hey, we don't want Drew. I think it more or less Marvel having more development of what the movie's going to be, and then maybe Drew saying, well, let's just maybe I'll step back from this because that's not the movie that I thought I was going to be making. Maybe just because there's more collaboration now with Marvel than originally beforehand.
Well, Mark, Fred.
I think you guys are both wrong. I would go with Jared Hess out of that list because this feels a lot like when they picked the Amazing Spider-Man director, Mark Webb. Remember, he had only directed that one movie, the 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah.
And it was like, that guy, really? And then I thought he did a good job.
But his name was Webb.
I know that they were like, it's either him or.
How can you not see the genius in that?
No, right. It was a genius casting there of the director. But I like the Amazing Spider-Man. I thought he did a good job. So with this list, I was looking at it, I was like, they don't really have, none of them have any kind of action credentials or superhero credentials, which is just like how they normally picked all these other directors. So I was like, out of this group, I would almost wing it towards Jared Hess. The Napoleon Dynamite guy.
Right.
I mean, that's his name, right? Jared Hess.
Yeah.
Or 50/50 guy, Levine. That was also a fun film. But I think Jared Hess has that sensibility. Like when you mentioned, that they were trying to go back into the high school thing, I instantly was like, wow, Napoleon Dynamite had that awkwardness. And imagine if it was that dude trying to do the dancing, but as Spider-Man. That would be it would be weird.
I'm just worried about the humor.
You're scaring me.
I know, right?
The other thing about Hess is don't forget, he's also the same guy who then did Nacho Libre. And I thought that movie was just so awful.
Could I also mention Levine? Didn't I? I said both of
Yes,
those guys.
yes, you
yeah.
did.
So
Yes,
I
you
mean,
did.
I think it's up in the air right now. But yeah, I don't know really why Godard's name is not in there. That is one of those head scratchers. And is it tied in with Whedon? I don't know if it's tied in with Whedon. It could be that they just want to step away from that Sinister Six and that whole vibe. And they feel that maybe even if Drew's like, no, I could rewrite the whole thing there, they're thinking he might still be stuck or part of that older Spider-Man that they're now not going with.
Or for all we know, Drew's got 5 other projects that have been offered to him and lined up.
Right.
Or Sony with Marvel have suddenly decided they want to go in a completely new direction.
Right.
I mean, who knows? It's just really weird that it seemed like such a good
agree.
fit. And then all of a sudden it's gone very